Pakistani ambassador Masood Khan told the gathering here that the decision to buy Russian crude oil from Russia is taken after the approval of United States. So what kind of criteria is there? Like, is every country getting the approval to do any trade with Russia?
I will not speak to private diplomatic conversations we had, but we have always made clear, as I just said a minute ago, that each country has to make its own choice with respect to its energy imports. We coordinate with our allies and partners to mitigate the impact of Russia's sales. I was just speaking that to them a moment ago with as it pertains to the price cap. I'll finally note that the United States does not have sanctions against Russian energy exports to other countries. I don't think so. In fact, I would say, first of all, with respect to that transaction, we have been very clear that each country has to make its own choices based on its own circumstances in terms of energy imports. But since you asked about that, one of the things that I think is notable about that is that our understanding is that Russian oil was sold at a significant discount to market rates. And I think it's a sign of the price cap that the U.S. with our allies and partners imposed on Russian oil that has driven down the price for Russian oil, so that Russian oil sells well below market prices, and by our estimates have deprived the Russian government of somewhere around $100 billion in additional revenues that would go to fund their war machine in Ukraine.
The Pakistani ambassador also said that there are very close negotiations going on with the U.S. For the military assistance, military aid, which was suspended by the Trump administration. It was suspended, like security cooperation was suspended during the Trump administration. So is there any update on that?
I don't have any update on that. I'm not going to speak to any private diplomatic conversations other than to say that we consult with partners all around the world on these questions, but we understand that these are choices that every country must make for themselves. So we are aware of the reports concerning civilians who will face military trials for their suspected involvement in the May 9th protests. We continue, as we have in the past, to urge Pakistani authorities to respect democratic principles and the rule of law for all people, as enshrined in the country's constitution. And we regularly discuss human rights, democracy, safety, and the protection of journalists and respect for the rule of law with Pakistani officials at the highest levels. That remains a priority for the United States.